Hey guys, what's going on? Look, man, I was just sitting here eating room temperature dry Pop-Tarts and drinking tea, and I was watching a video from Arun over at Who's the Boss? Mr. Who's the Boss, that's who it is. And his video was about Meta and Metaverse. Is, Facebook, what the company formerly known as Facebook. Now, when I first heard that Facebook was changing their name to Meta, I really didn't think anything of it. This channel's been called like 3 or 4 different things before it became New Stuff TV, right? So I really didn't think anything of it until I watched Arun's video. Man, Meta is about to do some really, really big things. And I'm super excited about it, but at the same time, it makes me a little bit nervous because it's just a lot. Let's just unpack this a little bit. So this video is going to be more of a conversation. And I actually did take a couple of notes because there's some stuff I didn't want to leave out because I'm just going to just throw the words at you, give you a nice big word salad. The first thing is, people are always concerned about privacy with these apps and stuff like that. So data privacy is a huge concern because Facebook, come on, it's Facebook. That's why nobody likes Facebook. But everybody uses Facebook somehow or another because of privacy. Like, it's a love and hate kind of relationship. And Instagram is the same way, Snapchat's the same way, and what's the new one? TikTok. It's like our lives don't belong to us anymore. Just for example, your phone's not supposed to be listening to you unless they tell you, right? But how is it possible? I was talking to my friend Sean the other day, or was it Sean? No, it was my neighbor. His name is Peter. My neighbor Peter, he and I were talking about my new car, and he asked me if I had airless tires on the car. He had his head stuck in my window, and I'm talking to him from the driver's seat. I said, nah, these are run flats. And he said, nah, man, they got these airless tires. And he starts explaining to me that Michelin was coming out with it, or they already came out with an airless tire. It's just, not in the, free market just yet, or consumer market. And I was like, all right, cool. We change the topic, we move on. Hours later that evening, I'm scrolling up and down Instagram, and what do I see in my feed? Wilson. It was, it was airless tires. It's nuts, man. Airless tires actually exist, but I had never even thought of them or heard about them until that day. But what do you know? A couple hours later, I got airless tires in my feed. Somebody was listening, whether it was Google or Samsung or Instagram or Facebook, because I know they ain't reading my thoughts. I'm not plugged up to anything like a matrix. But speaking of matrix, that's when we get into Metaverse. I don't know what Mark Zuckerberg is actually planning. Maybe he's planning world domination and conquest. But imagine a world, and this is referring to Arun's video. Imagine a world where social media doesn't really take place on your phone anymore. You go home or you're at work, you put on a virtual reality type of headset, kind of like the Oculus or the HTC Vive or something like that. You put it on, and now you log into your Facebook or your Instagram, even YouTube, okay? You have created an avatar that you have made to look like yourself currently, or a better version of yourself, something you want to be. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you're sitting at home and you're like, man, Antoine at New Stuff TV, he's a handsome fella. I want to look like him. So you get yourself a beard. You know what I'm saying? You ain't never been able to grow a beard. All your beards have been patchy and stuff, but you want a full one, right? So you go ahead and paint your full beard on, right, Wilson? You know what I'm saying? So you got this avatar, right? That looks a lot like me because I'm cool, right? And now you are virtually in this world where you just kind of walk along and do things in social media. So the last time you were scrolling up and down social media and you saw maybe Will Smith doing something crazy or something like that, take that experience that you had scrolling up and down your phone, just your eyeballs looking at that screen, go into it now. Now you're there with Will Smith. Well, you're there with his avatar. You're there with Will Smith. Will Smith be doing some crazy stuff. He's like jumping out of hot air balloons and all kinds of stuff, right? So now you get to experience this with him because it's a virtual reality type of world. Seems really cool, and I do believe it would be really cool to experience that because I've experienced the virtual reality headsets and they are cool. But when that becomes what you do in your spare time for social media, we've already seen things like Fortnite takeover. We've already seen things like Red Dead Redemption online. People get into these communities, these things online, and you become so involved in it that now it's, a controller in your hand or a phone in your hand. But when you submerge yourself into an entirely different world with audio and visual effects that bring you into where that space is, now it's become your reality. So You get off work or you're done doing school or whatever, put on this headset, that's where you hang out. Seems cool until you realize like, man, that guy, that version of me has the ultimate life. His life or her life is just so awesome. My life kind of sucks because in reality, I don't look that good. I don't look like that. I made an avatar that looks like something I would prefer myself to look at. So when I go in the morning and brush my teeth, I'm looking at this thing that I'm not really that fond of. But on virtual reality, I'm this person. And also the things you're able to do. Now, I just talked about jumping out of hot air balloons. Like that cost money, right? Or if you wanted to drive a Bentley that day, that's gonna cost some money, but you could do that in your virtual reality. With cryptocurrency and stuff like that, that is going to be a thing that's embedded into Metaverse because you have to have some type of currency in any universe, right? So now you're dealing with cryptocurrencies and trades and things like that. It's just gonna become a whole thing. It's Metaverse. But how do you feel about this? Because it's gonna change so much stuff. This is just some stuff that just flew off the top of my head that I just told you about right there. But think about this, man. You've got goods and services. It's already to the point where restaurants, they don't really need to exist anymore, like a brick and mortar restaurant, because of things like Uber Eats. I'm not a big Uber Eats person, but I know it exists. So if you want, let's say if you want a hot dog, right? You could just get on Uber Eats, find a hot dog place, and then they deliver it to you 20 minutes later. Did that restaurant really need to be there with a sign on it that says, this is Joe's hot dog stand? No, this could be somebody making hot dogs in their kitchen at home, and then Uber Eats comes to pick it up, and then they take it to you 20 minutes later. So when it comes to goods and services, that could be a big change because now you're in your virtual world and you say, okay, I want to eat something. You have to eat something in real life, but in Metaverse, you go ahead and go to the taco place. And while you're doing this interaction in Metaverse at the taco place, now you are placing an order in real life using your currency. And 20, 30 minutes later, real tacos show up so you can actually stuff your gullet and then go back to being in the Metaverse. You see what I'm saying? Ain't that crazy? You thought about that ever before? It's happening, you know what I'm saying? Goods and services could actually work like that. Here's a good question. How addicted to social media are you at this current time? Now, I know a lot of you are probably gonna put in the comments, oh, I only use this for that and only use it at this point in time. Come on, man, cut the bullshit. Everybody's addicted to social media. If you have a phone, your privacy has been compromised and you have some source of social media. It may not be just Facebook, it may not be just Instagram, but it's something. I did a poll a few months ago and asked you, what was your favorite social media platform? Where do you hang out? Most of you here said YouTube. If I'd have done the same poll on Instagram, you know, the majority probably would have been on Instagram. So being that we're that addicted to social media right now, think about how addicted we would be to something where you can literally go in and be someone else. I mean, it's already happening now. You know, we have people who are living completely different lives online, such as, you know, some of the Instagram people, the models, or some of the Instagram influencers that will live a completely different life in real life. And you're telling me that Metaverse can amplify that and just like a million times over? You don't even have to have a human body anymore, and you can be whoever or whatever you want it to be. That's pretty interesting that it could be taken that far. Oh, how about this? Doctor visits. I just had a doctor visit last Thursday. It was a teledoc appointment, which I think is pretty cool. I think at this place in time, teledoc visits are super cool and necessary because not everything deserves you driving down to the doctor, waiting in line and doing all whatnot. And just for him to say, hey, you got this sneeze, man, take these allergy pills. I can see Metaverse evolving into something such in the medical space as maybe you have that little thing that you put on your finger, you know, like if you're diabetic or something like that, you put the little thing on your finger, and now this thing is actually reading your vitals. And I ain't talking about just your heart rate and stuff, but this thing is technologically advanced. It like reads your vitals and takes, you know, a little blood sample and, you know, does a readout of your blood panel or something like that. So here I am, I got the headset on. I'm sitting in a virtual doctor's office. The doctor comes up, and this is looking real to me like virtual reality. Doctor sits right there. I got my finger plugged in, and He knows my whole blood panel right now. He knows like my plasma levels and stuff. Like he knows what's going on because my finger's telling him. You know, I've tapped in somehow. I'm not sure how they would do it, but I could see Metaverse evolving like that in the medical field. And that would be great. That would be another big, huge pro in the Metaverse space. There's so much good and so much bad to talk about. I think about things like maybe like the social stuff like dating or even sex work. There's a lot of things going on in the sex world. You know, they got dolls, you know, there's the OnlyFans stuff. People are making millions on OnlyFans. You ain't have to do that no more with Metaverse. You know what I'm saying? You didn't gotta be you. My friend told me, this was yesterday, he told me like this 65-year-old woman was making hundreds of thousands of dollars on OnlyFans. I'm not saying you can't be hot at 65, but what I am saying is if you're not hot at 65, you can be hot in Metaverse at 65 and make hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's gonna change so much in the way we live our lives. But all the while, in the background, we're still who we are, living in almost this matrix. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen the Matrix. So we're living in this matrix, man. A lot of people already telecommute from work, just don't even have to show up. People, how many of y'all have had to put on the polo shirt or the button down with the coat and you got on your boxer drawers up underneath the tables, you know, underneath the frame? That's not even gonna be a thing anymore. You could be full on naked at the office, at a conference table, talking to people, doing business and conducting business in Metaverse because this is an avatar of yourself. So that opens up a huge world of possibilities, but once again, in the background, we are ourselves. So what does this do to us as people? We already know, there's already been studies that social media does screw around with your psyche. It will either make you feel awesome, top of the world, or like trash. So when you unplug from Metaverse to go finally take a shower or brush your teeth or even go to bed, you're not there anymore. You're not that same person. You don't have that life that you've created in Metaverse. What does this do to your psyche? Because once you look at this world around you, it's not this big colorful world that you were just swimming in and being able to do whatever you were able to do. It's your reality. So that's the part that really concerns me. Being able to do cool stuff, you know, in CGI or, you know, some type of programming interface, that's cool. But what does this do to everyone's psyche? What are we gonna become as humans? And when we do interact with regular people in real life, right now, I believe we're at a state where people believe that Facebook and Instagram and Twitter are still imaginary places where you can do and say anything and it doesn't apply in real life. There's no consequences in real life. I'm one of those people who, if I see you being stupid on Facebook, I'm gonna treat you accordingly in real life. I have people I do not talk to right now because of what they put on Facebook. They didn't think it applied, but it actually does. Because that is you, that is your representative. So what happens to real human interaction when you're in Metaverse and you bring it to real life somehow? Whatever that looks like at this point, maybe 2-3 years from now, what does that look like when people are just walking around? Do people forget how to interact with each other? Do people still hug? Do they still dab up? Do they still hold doors open? Do they still say bless you when you sneeze? People are already weirded out by other people being in the same room with them. Everyone has become antisocial, but highly social at the same time. So yeah, those are things that concern me about Metaverse. Now, I wanna disclaim here that I am completely ignorant on the subject. I have not delved into what it actually is. I'm saying all this based off of what Arun says in his video about Metaverse, because it really did spark a lot of things in my brain. But how do you guys feel about it? Are you excited about it? Are you terrified of it? Is it something that you think we should push forward? Take away the name Facebook, because I know Facebook has a negative connotation at this point because of all the privacy things, but if it's not Facebook, it's gonna be somebody. Somebody's gonna do it because we're here. Some of you are probably looking at this thinking, oh man, that's 20 years down the road. Oh, it's actually here already. We've actually been kind of living it. Think about what all the things I've told you. Teledoc visits, my conversation about the airless tires, all this stuff, the Uber and stuff like that. It's already here. It just needs to be centralized and put into a series of algorithms and X's and O's. It's already here though. So I would say within 5 years, there will be a metaverse and there will be an Oculus branded headset, and you'll be able to plug into your headset and go live the life you've always wanted to live. Meanwhile, your real life sucks. I was just messing with you, man. I just wanted to open up your brain, talk to you for a bit, and just get on here and rant. I know I haven't made a lot of videos lately, and that's because I'm a little burnt out still, but I'm back, bitches. Let's go. Y'all keep being good to each other, and I'll see you when I see you.